This is the guy that we all wanted to hear of, the first person we thought of, too, Congressman Brian Mast, friend of the show. He's always been very generous with our time, but he was there. He served. He was in Afghanistan. No one should know better than him. And to get his direct reaction to that speech, Congressman, we're just going to ask you flat out because there are some serious calls for Joe Biden's resignation now after this debacle. Should he resign? Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, I think easily, according to Nancy Pelosi's definition of high crimes and misdemeanors, Joe Biden should definitely fall under that for his activities or lack of direction or misguidance or the host of adjectives that we could use to describe the absolute crap show that he created in Afghanistan here, and he owns it 100%.
Right.
CNN and others, they're trying to find ways to say, "Oh, is this Trump's fault? Is this because he was looking at withdrawing too?" No, this is 100% Joe Biden. He chose when he was going to leave, how he was going to leave, that he was going to do it in the dark of night. He wasn't going to give, any support to the Afghans. They're saying, "Hey, you guys can do it. We're pulling out one province at a time. We're going to check and see how things work." I could go on and on about this literally for hours. Their administration, they're going with the line that whether we left in a year or left in a month, this is what was going to happen. Well, if that's what they truly believe, how were they so stupid to leave a couple $2 billion in weapons, armor, and other equipment? These people are such idiots.
It was funny because on Twitter yesterday they said, how did a group of individuals who don't have an Air Force, don't have tanks, don't have rifles take over a nation? And then somebody on the booth put, they got an Air Force now.
Yeah.
They got tanks.
They got our stuff.
They got all our weapons. Are we going to get those weapons back? Are we going back in?
That's a laughable joke. What are we going to do? Send in some guys from some repo program to say, hey, put this up on the list and tow it out of there? They're not going to give one thing back. To go and try to take it, absolutely not going to happen. You're going to need to send in a bigger force than you've ever seen. But let's talk about the force that's being sent into Afghanistan. Probably in a more dangerous situation than what's been seen in Afghanistan for a long time, not just because of the Taliban takeover, that's one reason, but the reason, in my opinion, it's so much more dangerous is because when you get politicians that their biggest concern is the quote-unquote optics of what's happening with military action,
right,
you are putting the soldiers in direct harm. And this is an important historical point. You look at what happened with the barracks bombings in Beirut. That was all about optics. You looked at what happened in Mogadishu and Somalia. That was all about optics. So much of the Vietnam War, all about optics. When that's their concern, U.S. service members get killed.
That's our concern, too, Brian, is that, and we also know this about this administration, they seem to, whenever they're in trouble, and hey, that's been a lot, they seem to turn it, because of the optics, into the, well, it's bad, but we are the moral authority. So what that may hint towards is some sort of massive airlift, some sort of immigration plan where they can sell this to the American people and say, but it was all for humanitarian reasons. Is there anything to stop a massive airlift of the poor Afghan people coming here?
No, look, they need to get a lot of these people out of there. These people that helped us, that have been applying for special immigrant visas, these people are going to get beheaded. They're going to get stoned.
Yeah.
There's children, sons, daughters. They're going to become slaves. They're going to be raped, boys and girls. It's a bad situation, and they need to be gotten out of there. They do need to be vetted thoroughly. But I was asking this question in foreign affairs hearings months ago of the administration officials, their top State Department officials. How many people do you expect? No idea. How many do you expect when you add in their family? No idea. How do you expect to vet all of these people? How many people do you have working on that?
Right.
No clue. Now, I want to make one other quick point on this about how dangerous this is for mainland U.S. We all know that Joe Biden has an open door at the southern border.
Right.
So let's combine these two things real quick. An open door on the southern border, and they just made Afghanistan the new Club Med for aspiring terrorists. Those two things are a very bad combination.
Yeah, what's to stop them? They can't come in through Canada, but hey, go to Mexico. You can walk right in, have a nice time.
Right.
We'll greet you with a little welcome basket.
Yeah, right after the Taliban released how many people out of the jails
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Obviously, some pissed off individuals that are going to be looking for any kind of retribution that they could find. I think we can look forward to seeing their face again.
Congressman, do you know anything about this? I haven't seen anything confirmed about it, but reportedly, and I guess you could even call it a rumor, that this so-called leader of the Taliban now, who is now the leader of Afghanistan, I mean, that's who he is, it was one of the Gitmo detainees that was released. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I can't confirm what's going on with those that are trying to measure the drapes.
Yeah.
And take power. There's going to be some shuffling between warlords and who's going to ultimately take control of these things. Just like what you saw, when there's been transition with the fall of the Soviet Union or other things like that. There's going to be that. But what you can look at seeing out of this administration is this administration doesn't have a problem dealing and making friends with terrorist states. They've wanted to do that. Let's not forget about under Obama, them working with Iran to create the Iran nuclear deal.
Sure.
And now wanting to get back into that again. That's a terrorist nation. They want to make a terrorist country out of Palestinians. It's well known that if Palestinians had a free election, that Hamas would take control there. And they want to call it the two-state solution. They want to give another terrorist state a vote in the UN. And now what you're going to have is another terrorist-run country, this one by the Taliban, that they're going to give a vote to, again, in the UN or some other body. And this is the situation that they're creating. And it's a powder keg moment where you could see this spread across the Middle East.
Is there more concern this morning, Congressman, about an attack on American soil again now that the terrorists have their own country?
Absolutely. Now, I would say the other side of this. Our ability to combat attacks, to kill terrorists across the globe, it's totally different than it was in 2001. We've created a sophisticated capability to track financial transactions, to pinpoint where they are, from a laptop computer or an iPad, to be able to drop a piece of ordnance on them from thousands of miles away and get it within a couple feet of where we need to get it. Our ability to kill them is unparalleled. Our commitment to killing them and the lack of intelligence in the White House, that's the real intelligence gap, the Oval Office, is what's preventing, is what's going to prevent that from taking place.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Congressman.
Congressman Brian Mast. We are glad, and thank you for being there, for being a voice of reason to try to do whatever we can possibly do to keep this administration in check. So keep up the good work. We'd love to have you update us on this situation because, unfortunately, I think, like I said, it's a powder keg that's just started. It's just kicked off. So thanks for your time, as always.
You, sir.
All the best.
You too. Take care.
Wow. I'm even more concerned now.